I played over 100 hours of Palworld, and I gotta say the game's pretty good. I did enjoy a lot about the game. I enjoyed a lot of how you could just interact with some of the pals and you can the progression throughout the game, but I'll get into that a little later, right? But just to put into perspective, right? So how much of the game I've actually played, right? So if we look at the map here, this is the starting area. This is where you spawn at the beginning. Well, not where I'm standing right now, but this area here. You're gonna unlock this first waypoint, and that's where the journey begins. And as you can see, I have gone all of the places, everywhere. I have pretty much done most, if not all, of what the game has to offer. And I have captured pretty much all of the pals, based on my knowledge. For anyone that's curious, as you can see, I have like 137 out of 137. These are all of the ones that I have captured so far. So that's how much I've actually gone into the game. I'm not gonna talk too much about that for now. First, I just want to introduce people who may not be too familiar about the game and how it works, right? So, way back when the game was introduced as just Pokemon with guns. Case in point, gun. And I just thought, that's funny. That looks like a nice little concept. And I thought that it would be fun for like an hour or two, and then we can move on with our lives. Little did I know, it was gonna be this very massive game that had millions of players, and honestly, I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was really fun, and that's why I have 100+ hours in it. But the game's not without faults, and it is still early access though. So, but I'll talk about that a little later. Right. So, just to preface something before we start, I am running this and I did complete and play this on a PC that's a little not in the high end range. So there were some minor technical issues that come with it, like there are some performance issues, there are some lag spikes, delays, and stuff like that. But other than that, I still thought the game was really, really good, right? So the way that this game starts, or plays rather, is that you start here in this little place here. You come out, you see the world, you activate your first waypoint, and you see that it's a beautiful, gorgeous open world in front of you, and my jet dragon's covering my face. So now you can now see there's a big, vast open world in front of you. There's so much to explore. There's so many different pals that you can interact with and capture, and that you can start your journey with, right? And then you're given a couple of objectives. So some of your objectives are things like capture 10 pals, build a base. Then you also need to beat your first tower. So the way that that goes is there are a couple ways that you can level up and explore, which is by defeating pals or capturing them. And for every 10 captures of the first, no, for the first 10 captures of any pal that you've encountered or met for the first time, you get bonus XP. And for every 5, once you reach the 5th capture and the 10th capture, you get even bigger bonuses. So that's one of the fastest ways to actually level. And then as you level, you get different missions to improve your base, and you can get and unlock different things that you would like to do in this big chart here of things that you could possibly get. Anything from places that you can use to build items, like a weapon workbench or a cooking pot. You could also even just get decorative stuff like wall-mounted houseplant, fireplace set. And then you can also do things like build saddles so you can ride your pals. You can also do something where you can turn your pal into a rocket launcher. As you can see, this game is very creative in how it approaches the things that you can do with your pals, and I thought that that was really fun. That's really interesting, and that's one of the things that I really liked about this game. Right, so after your base building and all of those things are done, naturally you're going to need to progress with the game. So you're going to have to go to these towers like the one over there that basically is the boss fights. So if you've ever played any Pokemon game, these will be like the gym leaders per region. There are about 5 of them, including the tutorial one that you need to focus on. I'll actually show you guys the actual places if ever you guys want to play the game, right? There are a few towers here that you might want to know, and this is the actual order of how you should face them, just because this is actually how it's recommended in some of the guides, and just based on like power scaling, this is the best way to do it, right? So you start off with the one here. This is the tutorial area one, and then you build up to go to the small snowy area here to fight your second gym leader, your second boss. After that, you move on to the fire area here, and you're gonna fight your third boss. And then over here is the fourth one in this desert area up here, and this is the final one so far, which is the one here in the ice area, a big ice area here. So naturally you'll progress and you're going to be able to go to those places, right? It's kind of hinted how to go there through some of the logbooks if you like reading those things. And actually, if you read after you beat the boss, right, and you get to the top of the tower, if you look around, this is very similar to Breath of the Wild, right? You get to look around and you get to see the towers in the distance, right? And then that kind of gives you an idea of where you'll need to be going. As you can see, there's a tower there, there's a tower here, which is technically the closest one. There's a tower there in the distance over there, like the desert area there to the right. And then there's also a small little tower in the fire area right over there on the mountain there. You can go to all of those places, and each of those has their own little boss. So that's the main objective of the game, because the game actually starts with a message that says the towers are key. So you need to go to each of these towers and unlock all of the areas, and that is the game. So overall, I do think that the game was really fun, but of course there are some issues that I have with the game. So going into the problems I have with the game, right? So one of the main issues that a lot of people talk about, and one that I personally have as well, is the AI of the pals, right? So later in the game, actually you can start as soon as you like, but once you reach a certain point in the game, you're gonna start base building. So as you can see here, I have a little base here. It's not the most organized. I just put stuff together because I thought it was nice. And I have a lot of different pals there working for me down there, doing different little things, right? So you can command them to do different things, right? But some of the problems with the AI is that sometimes when you try to tell them to do specific things, they don't really do it. So like, for example, I could try and assign this guy with a hat here to one of these assembly lines here. Sometimes it's not going to trigger properly, and he just will not detect that the production lines are there, and he won't do what I'm telling him to do. And another big problem are things like this. As you can see, I have a giant turtle on my roof. That turtle should not be there. This guy with the leaf should not be there. But due to some problems with loading. They get stuck in weird areas that you don't know why they're there, and they just get stuck. The only real way to stop them from suffering, basically. Wait, let me try and get off my horse here. There we go. Right, so the only way to really reset them, right, is you need to open up your PAL box, and then you need to remove them from the field, like so. Just click them out, and then you call them back. You basically just put them back in. And that's the only way to reset them. And as you can see, this one is already fainting because he's been starving, as he's probably been stuck somewhere for God knows how long and is now starving, even though I have left them an abundance of food in that box there that they're surrounding. That's one of the issues, but this is known and will be addressed, but I'll talk more about those things later. Another one is that we have these little statues here that you can build and you can find around the world, and these statues you can use to enhance your PAL's stats by getting these little spirits here, something you can do eventually later on in the game. And another thing you can do is, while traveling around the world, you're gonna find these green little lights that are called effigies, right? So first let me drop this cow. All right, and here we go. So you can see you're gonna get these little green things that are called effigies, Lithmonk effigies to be exact. You can use these to increase your capture power, which supposedly should increase your capture rate, but through my experience and through some things I've seen in Reddit, people have been talking about those things not actually increasing your capture rate, and sometimes may actually even cause problems when using them. In fact, there was a recent update where they actually made the capture rates worse through the update. So hopefully we see a fix for those soon, right? And speaking of the logbooks that I mentioned earlier, that's one of the problems I have with this game as well. It's basically the lore. So if you've ever played a Dark Souls game in your life or anything similar to it, you'll know that those games don't really have a lot of lore. You need to read a lot of it too. A lot of it's hidden in item descriptions, and some of them are hidden in just like basically context. You need to look around the world and then take a guess, or you need to form an opinion based on that, the environment around you and how the people work around the environment and stuff like that. For this game, it's not really the case. You go around to different biomes, they do look nice and all, but you don't really get too much information about the biome at all. And then you can interact with like maybe 2-3 merchants that tell you something, and all they ever told me was that there was a legendary PAL somewhere in the world. One specifically said there was one in the desert, and I was like, okay, cool, but they don't really tell you much else other than that. So there's not really anyone to talk to or interact with that actually gives more detail about the world around you, the lore about why things are the way they are, or tell you anything cool or interesting about like some of the legendary PALs, for example. So I hope that they start to maybe flesh through it in the future. Again, the game is still in early access, so it's understandable for there to be some things that maybe they didn't completely focus on because they had to build an entire game, right? But those are just some small issues I have. Another thing I have a problem with is some of the materials. So building equipment, for example, like weapons and even PAL spears, can get pretty expensive later on, and they do require a bit of grinding. But when it comes, that's not as big as a problem as it comes to level grinding, which the only decent way of leveling up your character your character is that you need to capture pals. You need to capture 10 copies of each pal in order to level yourself fast enough. And the only way that people are saying that it's faster is that you need to breed your pals. But to breed the pals, there's still a wait time. You need to wait for them to mate. You need to wait for the egg to hatch. And all of these timers make the game feel really sluggish. Even some of the bosses that are in like certain dungeons, they have a 1 hour cooldown before you can go into the boss room again. I just feel that some of these cooldowns are a bit too long and a little unnecessary. I mean, albeit there is a solution to this, you can change your world settings to decrease the amount of time that you need to wait for certain things, and you can also increase the amount of XP that you earn, which I did later on into the game because I just really wanted to hit level 50 and I was at level 46, and I really didn't want to have to grind just to beat the final boss. Well, I didn't want to grind too hard because I don't want to have to farm for like 3 hours or more to just get like the last 4 levels, right? But that's just how the game was. And I don't think that it's fair, or I don't think that it's good design that you have to mess with world settings for the game to feel fair. I think that the rates and time that you have to wait should be good without you needing to adjust it manually. Because I don't think a lot of people are going to adjust it manually. And that's one of my biggest gripes with the game, the level grinding. And one other big gripe is music. Why? There's no music. There's actually no music. After going around in this world for a while, there's no music. The only thing you can hear is like sometimes some ambient noise, sometimes your feet walking against the ground. There's combat music, yes. There's boss music, some of them are really good. But there's no like exploration music. There's no music that makes you feel like anything about the world. It's just very quiet. It's sometimes very empty. There's a couple of pals here and there, but there's no NPCs to interact with for most of the time. And there's not really anything here. The only time that there are like people to talk to is like all the way here. It's like there's one town here, and then there's another town like was it in the desert? I think it was in the desert. I think there's like 2 in the desert. There's like one here, like this one here, and then there's another one. I believe it's like fisherman something. If I recall correctly, it was here. No. It was here. It was in the volcano area. This one. Nope, this one. Fisherman's Point. Which, even in these towns, you don't do anything. It's just like, so I could go there. Let's go to one of them, just for reference, right? So I can show you what I mean. There's not really much to do there. It's just small little town. Well, actually, there's another one. There's one at the beginning area, which I guess is the better one to show, since this one will be one of the first ones you're ever gonna see, and this is the a good like way to gauge what kind of towns they have in this game, right? So if we go to the settlement, which I believe is right, should be in this area. Yeah, this is my base church. Where was the settlement again? Oh, it's down here. There you go. Small settlement, right? So this is just for reference. We're gonna go to the small settlement and let's see what there is to do. Right. So in this small settlement, there are look, there's some houses. There's some people here. There's some people here that you can talk to. Wow, it's just like 2 NPCs, one in a chair over there. and all you can do is like talk to them. They have like set dialogues, even that one there. They'll just like say one or two things to you. Some of them aren't even very important, and that's it. Then we have like two merchants. This guy sells pals. The other guy sells like items. That's it. There is another NPC that you can meet that's random. That's like a black marketer guy that sells like other goods. But all in all, there's really not much to do in terms of NPC interaction or towns. And a lot of the times it just feels like you're wandering through an empty place with like a bunch of pals that you can capture, which to be fair isn't that bad. I did enjoy doing just that for a while, but sometimes you start to see like, you know, some of it's just like empty space and they feel like they could do more with it, you know. But all in all, I still do think that this is a really fun game. I did try some co-op, and I felt like actually was a lot more fun when you're playing with like a group of friends. And actually, before like very early into the life cycle of the game, they released a little roadmap, right? And this roadmap does address some of the problems where they say that they're going to fix the AI. They want to possibly fix some of the other minor bug issues that they're going through, and they're gonna try and fix like some issues when trying to load into worlds. They want to fix key configuration improvements, and they actually want to add quite a lot of things. They want to add PvP, they want to add raid bosses, they want to add a PAL arena. So there's just so much to do in these games, and honestly there's a lot of content that I didn't even cover, but I just felt like it'd be too long if I were to talk too much about it. I've already gone quite a bit of a rant now, so for now I'll just end it there. And I just want you guys to know that I think that Palworld is a really great game, even 100 hours in. I'm really looking forward to more of the content they're going to add. They said they're planning to add more areas. They're planning to add new pals, new bosses, and new items that you can make. And it's been a while since I've been really excited about a game and I've been really absorbed in it, that I've spent over 100 hours and I still really enjoy it and really want to play more of it. So those are my thoughts and opinions on the game. I have quite a lot more. If any of you are interested, just maybe leave a comment down below. Tell me if there's anything you would like to hear my opinion about, or anything else that you'd like me to talk about or discuss. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.